It's Monday, September 29th. Let's level up. Government shutdown seeming more and more likely. Tomorrow is the last day before it could be on. And maybe it does get averted. We'll see. It seems both sides kind of want it, though. I think the Democrats think that they're going to show that they're fighting Trump, and I think Trump wants to use the opportunity to fire the deep state. As far as economic data this week, there should be a lot of it, but I don't know if we're going to get it because of the shutdown. And then how well will the data be collected over the next couple of days or weeks, and will that impact future economic reports? As far as the data goes, we will actually get the consumer confidence and JOLTS tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. If we keep on and we avert the shutdown, we'll have ADP, which is the private payrolls, on Wednesday. Thursday, we get jobless claims, and then Friday, non-farm payrolls. I think there's also an ISM number, also ISM services. I don't know if we're going to get that jobs report or not. We'll know if there's the shutdown or not. Our sentiment actually had a bit of a bump up this week, but it's interesting to me to see the CNN gauge coming back to neutral. I don't think a thing is all hunky-dory here. As far as VIX goes, there is the potential here for a higher low, and we are kind of teetering between ranges. The bears need to clear 1623 to 1697 at this point. If they do that, maybe there's a run into the 19s. The bulls just need to take out the low of day at 1574 for another run into the 14s, which has been rock solid support. I think that there's sort of the one down, maybe 3, 5, or 6 to 1 to the upside type of ratio here. It doesn't mean it has to happen, but volatility does seem to me like there will be some type of a event or scare or something to get IV higher. Don't know when, but I do think that that will be coming at some point. As far as the ES and the NQ goes, we had an open above the 78.6 of both the sets of futures. That would be 67.28.5 in the ES and 24,898. And we had a pullback to the 61.8 and actually a little bit below there at 67.06 and 24,796 quarter respectively. Now, before we had that like cascading pullback recently, 67.0175 and 24,780.5 were the key necklines, and that's roughly just below that 61.8. So what now? Very simple. I think the bears have a case if they can hold 6,700, and I think the bulls have a better case if they can get it over 67.28.5 and hold. Same thing for the Qs. The bears have a better case below 24,796 quarter to 24,780.5, and the bulls are better off over 24,898. We're going to have to see which way breaks out, and I think it's a go with in either direction. Now, if we do have failure on the downside, 66.90.5, and maybe even a repair of the rich close from Friday at 66.81. And in the Qs, that could take us down to 24,047 quarter. So a lot of room there if we do see a pullback. On the upside, obviously, we go from MA to MA and Fib to Fib. We would be looking to retest the highs at 67.56.75 and 24,898. As far as SPY goes, low of day was roughly the 10 MA, so as good a stop as any. Anything below 661.87, I think could see a liquidation break back to the 20 MA at 656.37. On the upside, if we keep going, we're a hop, skip, and a jump away from the all-time high at 66.34, which I told you was poor highs if we were to make a run all the way to the green channel high at 67.33. As far as Qs go, bit of a doji today, kind of a bearish looking candle, but as long as we're over the 10 MA at 56.06 and rising, it's fine. If that fails, maybe we finally get a touch of the 20 MA at 587.5. Remember, 3 days ago, we got a pullback and it couldn't even get the 20 MA, which to me is actually very bullish. Bulls there need to clear 602.87, and if they make a run to the magenta channel high, depending on how many days it takes to get there, 609.39 if it were to do it tomorrow. Remember, I've told you I think between 600 and 610 will be resistance for a little bit. Tesla is still looking pretty good. They have that pull forward. Obviously, the EV tax credit is expiring tomorrow. If you have a deposit down and a contract, you can get your delivery after the 30th. It used to be that it had to be taking delivery by the 30th, but now it's after the 30th. So Tesla does pick up a little bit more time, probably a couple of weeks in that fashion. That's about the time for delivery date. I actually just got mine this past Sunday, and so far I'm a big fan. If you guys are interested, we could do a little bit of a Tesla test drive together. On the upside here, we're right at the channel high. I think you could use either low of day at 439.5 or 429s to 430 as a stop. That's the 78.6 at 429.84. It would not surprise me to see this make a run back up to the all-time high at 488.54 and maybe make a run at 500, but that may take earnings. I think here there is the possibility for a little bit of sell the news though, at least in the short term. Nvidia is still chopping. It's making another run at the all-time highs here. Anything over 184.48, I think, sends it to the 200s. If you're already long, low of day at 180.32 is as good a stop as any. We do seem to be banging up against the highs. The more time we spend up here and the shallower the pullbacks, the more likely a breakout is. I am fairly bullish still on Nvidia. I don't know about next year, but maybe into the end of the year we get a little bit of a pump. Netflix had a little bit of a dump today. It did ultimately get bought back up. It kind of closed a little sketchy here. Tariffs on movies overseas. Netflix obviously specializes in that. Bulls here need to get over 12.31.30 and hold. That's the neckline. If they can't, then it's just chop with liquidation break potential. Above, I think, can run. Google continues to pull back after we got our longer term 2 times range at 255.37. As long as it holds the 20 MA at 242.51, it's all right. But I had said don't let it get below 250 on you, and I think you now need to get back up over it. If we do continue to pull back, 229.75 was the 9-2 after hour spike high, so that would be a big target. I think if there's a larger liquidation break, or if you want to do a 1/2 put ratio or a 1/1/1 targeting the 50 MA at 216s, 211.35 was the 9-2 gap fill, so if you want to have that as a lower strike, I'm good with that. PayPal, they gave it a little bit of a run today, but we are still in range. It's to break out and hold. The upper end of that range is 70.29 to 71.71. If that can clear, it's still upside, probably for a move to the 200 MA at 73.43, and maybe even a run back up closer to the 77.38 to 79.22. On the downside, the bulls have defended 65.24 to 66.57. If it cannot hold there, we'll come down to 63.54 and maybe fill the 422 gap fill to 61.42. Generally, I'm fairly bullish on PayPal, but after the last earnings gap, we are consolidating in a kind of bear flag pattern. So we do need to see a breakout of that range, either up or down, and I think it would be a go with. Always on guard for look above and look below and fails. I'll be very interested to see what happens with Nike after hours. It's trading right near the channel low here and moves below the 200 MA and back up above it have been long, so 69.97. If that can clear, I think there's room up to 74.81, which is the 50 MA. Now, if there is a dump, there is a gap to fill from 626 down at 62.54. So I do think Nike could be a go with opportunity either up or down after hours. Seems like there's a lot of pessimism baked into that thanks to Lululemon and so on and so forth. It's very rare you get nailed by the thing you see, but I will say this, it would not surprise me to see some continuation in Nike on the downside, but a move back up over the 200 MA could be a right or right out long. The Bitcoin, pretty big move up today, and you have a bit of a dubstep in the overnight session. I think the bulls will need to clear and stay over the 50 MA at 115,169. This also I've posed could be in a $10,000 range with 107,000s on the downside and 117,000s on the upside. We'll have to see which one clears. I did like this bullish candle today. I think if we can get up and extend over the 115,635 and hold the 50 MA on pullbacks at 115,169, there could be that rotation up to the 117,000s. Gold still mooning it on the upside. I told you this doesn't end in whimpers, it ends in bangs. 2.618 target at 359.46. That could be up on deck. I would use that opportunity to probably liquidate the position fully though. GDX still looking all right. Not such a great close today. That 2.618 is 85.33. Pullbacks need to hold the 10 MA, currently 72.32 and rising, and that's very close to our 2 times range, which was 73.08. Generally speaking, markets are still really close to highs. There could be some catalysts to the downside. Seasonally, this is a bit of a weaker time of year. There's this sell Rosh Hashanah by Yom Kippur. We'll see. That hasn't held as much in the last few years. By the way, Yom Kippur ends on October 2nd, so we're coming right into that holiday in the next few days. I wouldn't mind to see a pullback, maybe into October, and then we set up for an end-of-year rally. I think the markets are just up a lot, and I think that there's this rotation back and forth between the big cap tech names. So that has been what's keeping it afloat, and these pullbacks have not lasted very long, 1 to 2 days tops. Until that pattern breaks, I think traders are going to keep buying the dip. Like and follow for more.